For more on the world of global logistics, I'm joined by Barton. He's the Chief Technical Strategist at the investment firm Money Map Press. Good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show. This will be fun. Let's talk about shipping because it's something you don't think about all the time, but in essence, this is what allows e-commerce companies to basically survive and thrive and ultimately succeed. There's two models, one in China, you just heard that, and obviously you know about the US model with Amazon and other similar companies. What's the biggest difference?
Well, you touched on one of the big differences is that the infrastructure here in the Amazon model is that Amazon takes really buys and sells, so they're actually acting as the distributor. So they have huge warehouses, huge networks of logistics backbone all over the country, so that they can do those really fast deliveries. And they have that gives them a very different business model from the perspective of how much money they take in and put out. So they've got a lot of working capital tied up in that. In China with Alibaba, their model has been to, Jack Ma likes to call it playing ping pong as opposed to basketball. Amazon grabs the basketball, hangs onto it for a little while, and then passes it off. Alibaba gets a ball that's put onto their site, and they just swat it to one of their distribution partners. So it's a very different model, very different numbers, and I think it's going to be interesting to see as Alibaba builds out and works with people like Chen now that we just heard running their big company, China Smart Logistics Network, which they're 48% owner of, Alibaba is, how they're going to work with that and build out to some of the vision that Jack Ma and Alibaba has. So two very different models, and I think a real reason why Alibaba is not looking to come into the U.S. so much to distribute goods here, but rather to take goods from the U.S. and be the intermediate to find customers in China. I think it's a great plan.
So here's the billion-dollar question. Well, which model has higher margins?
Very, very simple. Of course, Alibaba's model has much higher margins, because they don't have all the capital tied up. They're not taking the percentage difference between wholesale and retail. They're just taking a cut of everything that's made. So their margins are much higher. Their margins are really the envy of many in the industry. They're hovering between 45 and 50% quarter to quarter on their gross margins. So clearly, Alibaba is the winner in that category.
So let's talk logistics. It's no secret Amazon knows that shipping is very expensive. They have tried everything to try to cut down on costs, including renegotiating contracts with folks like UPS and even using different shipping options. And nothing seems to have really worked, at least in Amazon's favor. Then they're now talking about next-day delivery or same-day delivery. All these things, someone's got to pay for it. How's Amazon going to get those costs down?
Well, their answer to almost everything has been scale. More and more scale to give them bigger and bigger leverage and buying power with the distributors. They've also spent billions and billions putting infrastructure in place to be extremely efficient. I think their real answer that they see long term is in the productivity of efficiency of the systems that they've put in place, and also the efficiency of their partners. UPS, FedEx, they're no slouches in terms of logistics efficiency. So I think that's where, in terms of scale and in terms of just the productivity model that they've put together on how they deal with things and how they use the optimum amount of shelf space in a warehouse. It's just fascinating to watch what they're doing, really on the cutting edge in those areas.
So here's something, maybe it doesn't shock you, but for some of our viewers it might. Jack Ma said this recently, that he wants to be able to have anything delivered in China within 24 hours and perhaps even anywhere around the world within 72 hours. And a lot of us are scratching our heads saying, how are you going to do that?
Well, I think it's a grand vision, and if anything, we know that Jack Ma knows how to motivate people, and I think that's one of the things that he's doing here. He's setting a bar that's so high that has a lot of industry experts scratching their heads, as you've already said, Phil, and I think he's done that as a challenge to his team, and his partners to say, how can we solve an unsolvable problem? And if we do, we're already the dominant player in China. That would make us the dominant player for decades to come if we can overcome and even achieve, a large part of that goal. Can we get 80% of the people to have next day delivery and so on and build on that? So I think it's really as much of a motivation in setting the bar high as it is a realistic expectation. Certainly not in the next few years. It's something they want to look forward to so that they continue to dominate in that market for years to come.
Yeah, I just want people to not steal the packages from the front door. D.R. Barton, it's good to see you. Thank you very much.